الرحمن الرحيم الملك القدوس السلام المؤمن المهيمن العزيز الجبار المتكبر الخالق.
Islam, we found the belief in God, right? Because it gave an explanation. The primitive man was surrounded by mystery. Why does it rain so much? Why does the wind blow? Why have we got an infestation of locusts? It's the spirits sending them. That's why people used to make sacrifices to the spirits.
That's known as God of the gaps. That's known as God of the gaps. No, as in what people used to do, some people in the past, they used to look at something they don't understand and say God did it. That's God of the gaps, right? It's a fallacy. The fact of the matter is, not all believers think like that. When I look at the world, I don't look at a gap and say, therefore God did it. Some people in history have done that. But to assume that just because some people did it, that means that all believers do it.
It's natural not for people to believe in divinity and naturally because it's
but
true.
But
as an answer.
But there's
the primitive man knew nothing about science or the physicality of the world, and it was an answer. Oh, God makes the wind blow. God's angry. There's a noise. There's lightning. God's angry. Let's make a sacrifice to appease the God.
Sir, there's two different things. There's how and there's why, right? So how is the explanation what science deals with, the mechanics of things. Why is why something exists in the first place. One is physical, one is metaphysical. So whenever you look at something, you can't say just because we understand how, we don't need why.
Yeah, but that's probably not a why.
No, that's your assumption.
Looking for a why.
No, but that's
probably isn't a why.
Of course
The
there's going to be a why.
Probably is a meaningless universe.
No, but that's an assumption.
Because man search for meaning.
Yeah, so why does man search for meaning if we are a product of a blind mechanical force?
Because we're surrounded by cause and effect.
Okay.
Things don't happen without a cause. So what's the cause of us? And it's natural to invent gods.
Sir,
it's been done all through the ages, long before Islam.
Look, sir, if you take metal and you melt it and you mold it into a vase or you mold it into something else, it's still going to be metal. From metal, you're not going to get wood. How is it possible that from dead matter, from stone and from clay, us conscious living things came into being? All you're saying is, I need time, right? The fact of the matter is, no matter what you do to metal, you never get wood. So no matter what you do to dead rocks and dead clay, it's impossible to get conscious human beings like us.
We're made up of atoms from lots of
But we're also
elements.
conscious beings. Do you see a rock talking? You don't. We're conscious living beings.
Of course we don't.
Yeah, we're conscious
not
living beings.
biological.
So how can inorganic matter give rise to something which is organic, alive, conscious, and sentient? How is that possible?
You're talking about billions of years ago.
I'm talking about us being alive right now, today. You're saying we just need time, and it happens with chance. That's essentially what Darwinism is.
Not the case of us being alive. Over the eons, nobody knows where the first life came from on this planet, right? 3.5 billion years ago, whenever it was. But we've only been here on this planet in our current form, looking like us, about 50,000 years.
So,
as the Homo sapiens,
my question,
about 150,000
okay, my question
years.
is about life,
That's
sir.
nothing compared with
Sir,
the life of this
that's fine.
planet.
But sir, my question is this: how can dead matter, physical matter, give rise to something which is conscious, living, sentient? How is that possible?
Any animal?
Wherever.
I don't know.
That's
I'm
fine.
not a biologist,
That's fine.
so I can't
But if
explain
I
that.
no, but if I was
But
to,
you can't. What you're saying, I think you're trying to say is, again, there's something we don't understand. We haven't got an answer for, and somehow that endorses the view that an invisible spirit did it.
I'm doing the opposite. What I'm doing is, we know that behind information there's intelligence, so we know that. And when we see information in the living world, in the cells, and in all of the creatures around us, then we do the same thing that we do with information that we ourselves see. We infer intelligence, we infer there is some sort of creator behind this. So it's not based upon ignorance, it's based upon knowledge. What you're doing is this: you're being inconsistent. You're looking at this information and saying, yes, there's intelligence behind this, but you're looking at information in the biological world and saying, we don't know. That's being inconsistent.
I don't know because I'm not a biologist.
That's fine, but all I'm doing is I'm being consistent and you're being inconsistent. I'm saying there's information, so there's intelligence, and I apply the same to the biological world.
But if I take the contrary view and say this is why I abandoned belief in any gods when I was in my teens, I think it was, because it's not based on evidence, and you can understand people believing in these things hundreds of years ago, thousands of years ago. I mean, the Egyptians believed in that the sun was a god. And
Well, the Egyptians.
Ra was born every morning and flew across the sky on a chariot and died every night, only to be reborn again.
No, but sir,
They believe that, and you can understand.
Okay, but sir, how does that belief that you just described there, how does that disprove the arguments which I'm giving right now? These are two unrelated things. Yes, I agree with you, some primitive people had some really nonsensical beliefs, but that doesn't mean that those beliefs are
Yeah, but
superimposed
those
on me.
were the answers then.
Yeah, but
And what is the mystery is how religion has persisted, because I would have thought it would have died out years ago. Well, it's an interesting explanation why it has persisted.
Two different things here. Number one, the very fact that human beings believe in God, and no matter what, with the progress of science, with the change of civilization, that belief hasn't gone down. That requires an explanation, and the explanation I gave you previously is... Okay, look.
If you take the number of atheists in this country, I think there was a survey a couple of years ago, and it put it around about 38% atheist. Now, if you go back 100 years, it would have been much more than 200 years. And you go back 400 years, and nearly everybody believed it.
Okay, that's not quite true. The fact is this. We had atheism about 2,000 years ago in ancient Greece. Many of the philosophers were atheists. They didn't believe in God, right? Now, we go through cultural changes. You have sometimes belief going up, you have sometimes disbelief going down, right? You have those cultural changes, but as a progression for the last 10,000 whatever years of human history, we can see there is a clear pattern. The majority of people believe in God. Look, after the collapse of the Soviet Union, when people were taught state atheism for generations, they were taught there's no God, Marxism is true, Darwinism is true. When the Soviet Union collapsed in 1989, majority of people still believed in God. So even they couldn't eradicate belief.
Yeah, but
so
if
the
you
fact
take
of the matter
most atheist country on the planet, that's China.
yeah.
Chinese are superstitious, but the vast majority are not religious. Now, how do you account for that? Because they're the most populous people on the planet.
By 2070, China is going to be the biggest Christian nation on earth. This is according to Pew Research, right? So the fact of the matter is,
that
even with state-imposed atheism, they're still turning to God.
I'm talking about the percentage of the Chinese that are religious,
right?
And it's very small. It's
small
less
today.
than 50%.
Yeah, and they have state atheism, right? But that doesn't mean that as a people, they all are disbelievers. The fact of the matter is, over time, and there's projections to show this, they are headed towards religions. The fact of the matter is, you have to ask the question, sir, why? Why do people keep turning back to God? That's the question you have to ask.
Well, I'm not sure they do.
I
mean, if you take the reason why the overriding reason that religion persists today in the modern age is through indoctrination from childhood.
But that's an assumption.
No, it's true.
Okay, so
I was indoctrinated in Christianity. I believed it without question as a child that Jesus was on this planet and all the rest of it. Right? But I was brought up in a culture where I could turn around to my parents and say, I just don't believe this.
Okay, but sir,
You don't come from that culture.
There's scientific evidence to show that what you just said right now is incorrect, right? Okay,
Which bit? What, the indoctrination?
The indoctrination, right? So let me just give you a few references for that. Dr. Justin Barrett from Oxford University, he's written a book about why we believe in God. Why would anyone believe in God? And what he concludes is this. He doesn't even believe in God himself, but what he concludes is this, that belief in God is something natural, right? Now he tries to give an evolutionary explanation for it, but what he's saying is it's natural. And likewise, Dr. Olivia Petrovich, again at Oxford, she says the exact same thing. She says atheism is an acquired position. The belief in God is the natural position. Again, both of them don't believe in God, and both of them try to give ad hoc evolutionary explanations for it. But the fact of the matter is, belief in God is not due to indoctrination, it's
a
a
belief
human
in God.
nature.
I think it's a look for search for explanations for things.
That's a separate thing.
You know, why do we
Remember, sir,
exist? And
remember,
a
that's
lot
what
of people,
Bible was
why am I here? Why am I on this planet?
But
And
sir,
it's
these are two different
and
things.
also, it's a great comfort to a lot of people.
Actually, atheism's a comfort, not relief, not belief in God. Because when you die, nothing happens, it's all good. When you're a believer, you're accountable
Yeah,
for
but
every
your
single thing you do. You
belief
could
is
go to
that
hellfire, you could go to paradise.
You know, with respect,
It's
I
much
think
more
your belief
comfortable
is
saying
that
there is
you're
no
going to be
God.
reunited with your forefathers and
But
if
there's
your
also a
parents
chance
are
that you
still
burn in
alive.
hell for eternity.
Yeah,
So,
but
I mean, we can't
that
use-
gives a lot of comfort to people.
But not if you're a
you know.
Muslim, you're not going to burn in hellfire, right? If you're a Muslim, you're going to burn in hellfire.
No, but you still believe there's a chance somebody could go to hell. Sorry?
You're not going to burn in hellfire.
Sir, two different things here. Having the belief that there is no God, we're not accountable for our actions in this life, and when you die, nothing happens.
No one said
That's a much more.
get away with that.
What?
You can't say no one's accountable for what they do because they're not religious. That's ridiculous.
No, the accountability under an atheistic worldview doesn't make any sense.
Of course it does. We are accountable to ourselves. It's just you put the authority in a different place. That's all.
Okay, so explain to me this, right? When it comes to
To say
account,
people are not accountable, or don't believe we should be accountable for our actions is
okay, let me
complete
explain why.
nonsense.
Let me explain why. Because there's no objective morals, so there's no accountability.
That
Is
doesn't mean there are
arbitrary.
no morals. We don't have morals that come from a sky god.
Okay, so let me just.
The morals come from a different source. They're rationally thought out.
Okay.
You know
So
how
let me
my
ask you this.
behavior
Give
affects
me-
yours.
Give me.
It's a different way
Give
of
me
looking
one
at the
piece
discussion.
of objective moral that you as an atheist can believe in.
It's wrong to kill people.
It's wrong to kill people. That's objectively wrong.
It's not objective in the sense.
Okay,
that
so
you
it's not
want it to be.
objective. Okay, either it's objective or
It's not objective
subjective.
in the sense of being absolute.
Right. Okay. So there's two different things here. Either it's objective or it's subjective. You can't say
every
it's
culture on this
objective or
planet,
it's subjective.
almost every culture on this planet,
Forget the culture, I'm asking you.
regardless of religion, believes it's wrong to kill people.
That's fine.
You know, that's something we've
Now
come
we're
to
talking
realize
about-
that if we kill each other,
Okay.
you know, it's not going to be a good society. We won't be
Sir,
around
we're
any
not disagreeing
longer.
on that point.
Yeah.
What we're disagreeing
You know,
about is objectivity.
But this is where the basis of it comes from.
Sir, you're missing the point. We're talking past each other. I don't disagree with you that you as an atheist can have subjective morals. I don't disagree with you on that. What I'm saying is, as an atheist, morality is not absolute. It is not objective. It is subjective.
Yeah, that's correct. So what?
There's
What do you mean,
some
so what?
from an atheist.
What do you mean, so what?
So is yours.
Hang on a second. So you're telling me if I say rape is wrong objectively, yes or no? What are you going to say? I said objectively.
People have
Hold
different
on, hold on.
morals.
When outside,
How can you as an atheist come here
You're wrong.
and think you have a higher moral standard when you can't even say rape is wrong in an absolute sense? How can you have a higher moral standard?
How do you know you have a higher moral? What makes yours higher?
Because we believe morals come from
Because you
God.
believe. Subjective. Thank
Hold
you.
on, hold on,
Wait,
hold
hang
on.
on a second, hang on a
In
second.
Islam,
I have objective reasons to believe what I believe.
I have
What
objective reasons to believe why it's wrong to kill people.
Yeah, but what's the logical consequences of your beliefs? All morality
The
is
logical
subjective.
consequences
of your belief.
Yeah, the consequences of my belief is that we try not to kill each other.
Is that objectively correct?
I would say so. That's what we're trying
Okay,
to do.
now what you've done is this. You've agreed to objective morals, which is perfect. Previously you didn't. Now explain to me, where does objective morals come from?
Where do yours come from?
Don't change it back to me. I already believe in objective
It comes from
morals.
the same place.
You first weren't
You
willing to
have
admit
just
objective
you
morals.
made
Now you are, so I'm going to reel you in.
You
Right?
don't get away with that. You've made an assertion. You have made an assertion.
Okay, I'll
that
answer
your
it. It comes from
religion
God.
is
Where do you think it comes
correct.
from? I answered it. It comes from God.
And I
Where do you
say
think
that's
it comes from?
subjective. Most people don't believe the way you do.
No, but you said it's objective.
There's going to be subtle subjectivity even among Muslims about
hang on.
proper moral
Sir,
practice.
sir, what
So
you're
it's
doing
not
is this.
absolute.
Bro,
By demonstration.
You're just copping out now. Do subjective morals exist? You first didn't want to agree to them. Now you agree to them, so let's carry on.
Of course,
where did they come
morality
from?
are subjective. People have differences.
Okay, where does objective morals come from?
Where does objective morals come from?
Absolute objective morals.
Yes, yeah, I just don't believe in an absolute. We all
Okay,
agree
now
on
you've
most
gone back.
things.
Now you've gone back. That's fine. That's fine. Look, the fact of the matter is this: you first didn't want to agree. You first didn't want to agree there was objective morals. You said they were subjective. Then you've gone back and you're saying they're
I'm not
subjective.
sure they exist in your
That's
sense,
fine.
and you
That's
certainly
fine.
haven't demonstrated
That's
that
fine.
yours
I mean,
exists.
Islam is
I
wrong,
believe it
it's
is.
wrong to kill.
Okay, you believe.
Yeah.
Great.
It's
You've
wrong-
made an assertion that has
It's wrong
nothing
to
behind it.
kill. But if you walked into your house and there was a guy there attacking your mother and father, you would kill him without...
That's objective morality.
That's subjective.
That's objective.
How is it objective?
So look,
You just
sir,
said, yeah, it's
the
wrong
fact
to
of the
kill,
matter is this.
now you're saying it's okay.
You and I can both agree about certain things which both of me and you would say this is absolutely wrong, right? For example, there's an innocent child who's done nothing to nobody and no one's going to benefit from killing him and that child is killed. Me and you would both say that is wrong, right? The difference is this. I am saying it is absolutely wrong, it is objectively wrong. As an atheist, all you can say is it's subjectively wrong.
No, that's evolved over thousands of years.
That's the problem.
Because
I don't.
We've existed in small communities where we've had to look after one another.
Sir, biology changes, right? If you take the Darwinian history of life, we have absolute plasticity, we have absolute fluidity. So if you're saying morals evolve, they're arbitrary. They are literally arbitrary. They have no objective.
Morals have evolved.
Sorry?
Religious morals have evolved.
Sir, we're talking about the existence of absolute and objective. We're not talking about whether different religions have different senses of morality.
If you don't know what they are, or whether it exists or not, what's the
now?
difference?
Sir, we're talking about if objective and subjective morals exist, right? And if they do exist, what's the best explanation for them? We don't disagree that people have different concepts of morals. People throughout the world do.
If you're saying
two different atheists, look, both of you are atheists, but you're going to have different morals. You're not going to have identical models.
I don't think they're the same basis.
See, I don't believe.
But sir, the question is about
I don't
objectivity
think
and
this man is a
subjectivity.
murderer, a paedophile, or a rapist.
You know,
I don't know.
Morals come from the fact of what kind of creatures we are. If we were not human beings, it's possible we wouldn't have morals. If we were a pile of rocks, we wouldn't have morals.
Right.
Because you wouldn't feel anything, I wouldn't feel anything. It wouldn't make any difference.
So it's arbitrary.
No, it's not. It has to do with what kind of creatures we are. We're sensitive creatures who
And remember,
feel
the
pain,
Darwinian
who feel
history of
compassion,
life.
who feel compassion.
Look,
this is part of our being. It's a
that's
moral
fine.
outlook.
But the Darwinian history of life shows, according to them, that all animals, all species are fluid. They change.
That's right.
Right? And anything can change into anything else.
That's right. Some animals don't have the same level of morality.
So what happens is, all of the morality that we currently hold is arbitrary when you compare it to what we could have had.
It's not arbitrary.
Well, different countries have different
But
laws,
did
right?
we have morals?
It's
Did we have morals before Islam came into existence? Before Christianity?
question, of course.
No, it's not.
It's a different question.
If we had morality before religion came
Sir,
into
we're not talking about the
existence,
existence of morality. We're talking about whether it's objective or subjective.
Answer me this: if you were not capable of realizing the consequences of your actions, would you be responsible for morality?
That's a different question. I don't know. I don't know.
Certainly,
But that's a red herring. But that's a red herring. How does that deal with the question we're dealing with now?
Reflect on the consequences of our actions is part of the thing. Is part of morality itself. If we didn't have that capability,
Sir,
we wouldn't have the capability of being moral.
Sir, we don't disagree about morality.
These are all the things that build up the moral
Sir,
argument.
what you're doing is this. You're only bringing up something I agree with you on. I agree with you that morality exists. My question is it objective or subjective?
Yeah, I mean,
that's my question.
So this thing we both agree exists, and you're piling this other thing on top.
You don't want to talk about objectivity and subjectivity.